Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube subscribers, a growing channel called Growing Argonaut Butternut Squash. This section is entitled To Fruition. This is actually part 3 of Fruition. And something that I really wanted to do was to go through here and show you guys. You might see some in the screen already I haven't intended to focus on and talk about, but each one of these are like my little babies, okay? Crazy as that may be. But I want to go through and I want to film the kind of productivity that we're having. And I also want to point out that fruition is not like what I thought. I know that this squash is capable of producing about 15 fruit per plant. Mine has not done that. It could have done it initially. It maybe would have done it. But here's the problem that I've been having. If you can see that little yellow one, let me get it focused in the screen right there. This is what's been going on with a lot of my squash. Because I've probably seen 200 or so growing on in that stage, but for some reason they did not mature. They withered, most of them even before the flowers had opened up. So the flower don't open, they can't be fertilized. They aborted, they self-aborted. I don't know why. Maybe it was not enough fertilizer. I don't really know why. I don't know if that's normal or not. I do know I grew this squash before, me and my mother. We never did get the fruit to fruition. They were huge, like some of the ones I'm going to show you this morning. But the season was too short. I planted them too late to get them out before freeze hit. So that's where we are. Now, I am pretty sure I'm going to make it to a good harvest, even though it's less than what I thought. I've probably counted maybe 30 or 40 of them out here in different places. But they don't tend to be guaranteed until they get to a certain length, maybe about 12 inches. And at that point, they don't wither up and fall off. But a lot of these little ones, they just wither up and fall off. They don't get fully matured. So my goal of having 10 squash per plant, which was 100, is what the minimum harvest I was looking for. It has been diminished. Now, I'm still going to have a very nice harvest. I'm going to have more than a year's supply of this squash. I know how I cook. I know how my wife cooks. I know the friends that we got that's probably going to want some or buy some, or we may have to go to the market and sell them. I don't know. I mean, I'm open on all of that. But I'm going to have way more than what we can eat. I have grown this type of thing before. It wasn't a butternut squash. It was Cushaw pumpkin. And I was equally amazed because it produced a ton of them. Most of them ended up going bad. But it was something that I ate. My mother provided for the family. It's an heirloom called Cushaw pumpkin. I don't know for a fact, but I suspect that this hybrid butternut squash may be combined with Cushaw pumpkin. I don't know what created the hybrid, okay? So all I can do is speculate. But that Cushaw pumpkin grew a lot like, it looked like this when it was, in the beginning stages. This is not Waltham squash, which is pretty large, very good tasting. This is supposed to be better tasting, and it's a proven fact that it does get bigger. I'm going to show you some of the specimens that I have out here, but it's nowhere close to the 10 per plant that I was expecting. And maybe I planted them too close together. Maybe they're crowded. You guys subscribe. Teach me something, okay? I plan on planting this again. And next time I want to get a whole lot more. Like I said, it's mid-September. I think we're going to be safe. I think we're going to get this up before the first freeze comes, which a light freeze may not destroy this, but for certain a heavy freeze will wipe it out. So, without any further ado, let's look at these squash here. Now, I'm just going to start where I'm at. Here's one right here that's growing behind a chair. I guess that's probably about 3 or 4 pounds right there. And I'm going to cross over these set of plants here. And I'm going to point out 2 more that are growing. Yeah, 1, 2. You can see those right there. You can see the flowers closed up. You know it's been pollinated by the bees. And I guess God didn't want another sperm cell getting in the way because he closed that up. Closed the womb of this fruit up, both of them. And they're starting to grow and get big. They could die at any point. There's another little one growing out on the end of there. You can see it right there. So if I was to count these little ones, we still got a little bit of growing season left. And there's a lot more that they can produce. You know, there's a lot. I mean, there's one right there. I could get to that 100 per plant. I could get there. But it's a little bit questionable for me because at this point I got several good fruit out here already. And I'm okay if it don't make it to the 100. But what I'm going to do with them anyway? I can't eat all that, okay, by myself. So let's keep moving. This is another very large specimen here. Let's see if I can zoom out in order to record this so you can see it. It's right, and you know, I mentioned about them being able to hide under stuff. They're camouflage, man. That is huge. It's showing you in comparison to my hand. That's probably about maybe 10 pounds, could be. And another little one right next to it there, hiding. They hide under this leaf canopy here. That's what they do. You can't see them. There's one little bitty one right there. I'm going to film these little ones because I have no guarantee that they're going to turn into nothing. They might drive them fall off. But there's another one. Right next to that one, there's another huge one right here. You can see my hand, my finger in relation to that squash. That's a camera. But that scale, really, what you can see in this camera lens may not be doing justice to the actual size of these squash. Because, you know, camera takes 10 pounds off you, depending on what colors you wear. It could add 10 pounds on to you. That's just cameras, you know. But anyway, at least I can get them on here. I'm working my way around here. I'm going to show you a surprise. Because I've been talking about this huge grapevine conglomerate that is actually growing over the top of a tree. And the squash came up about right there, as you can see. You can see it. And it followed up this pathway and it went up there. And it went up there and that's all the way over the top of this conglomerate here. This is a grapevine growing over the top of some kind of tree, okay? When we cut the grass the other day where we could get around here and not get stuck with thorns, this is what we saw. This is what we ran into. This is over here quietly growing on top of this tree. And this thing right here is as long as my arm from my bicep to my wrist. And I'm 5'8". Pretty much important, nothing abnormal, no longer arms or shorter legs, just a normal sized man, okay? This here is as long as my whole arm. And from the size of it, I'm thinking that this would probably go for a good 20 pounds. So that part is true. Gurney's sell these seeds, Gurney Seed Company. And that one right there is living up true to what they said. And I also know that even though I'm not getting an average of 10 or 15 squash per plant, which is what it has the capability of doing, I don't know if it's the weather, the amount of fertilizer that the plant needs to reach that, or disease or what. I just don't know. Because I'm not getting that kind of result, but I'm okay with it. Because I'm still going to have a plenty, and I still may end up having, you know, 100 per each plant because it's still putting them on. And you see that little one right there in the camera. You can see it just barely sticking out right in the center of my camera. It withered away without even opening up. Flower never opened. Never got pollinized. Didn't have a chance to, but it's okay. Because for every one I see like that, Look at here. I find more that are there. And that's a baby. That's a juvenile, you know. I'm not at all discouraged because, oh wow, man, I see a big one over there. You know, just weird things happen out here. You come out to the garden, you don't see, look at this. Look at this, beautiful. A pair of huge squash. Oh yeah. I know this is gonna make everybody want to run and go buy these seeds, plant this squash. You know, seeds were made for sharing and selling your excess, and just, it's an amazing thing, okay? Because within each seed is a whole world. And I'm a minister and a Christian, and that parable of the sower is important to me. What happens when you sow a seed? You never get back exactly what you put in. You always get more. Okay? But let's see, I just seen a big squash. I can see it with my eye, but it's kind of hard to find these things in this camera lens. Let's see. I see one in there. I just want to show you. I don't want to skip it. There it is, right there. There it is. You can see that one. This is probably a different angle of that same one I showed y'all, but that's probably 15, 20 pounds, okay? I'm not exaggerating this, people. These are some huge squash. But I know that they produce a lot, and I'm not getting that result as of yet. You see, there's a lot of them that are dried up on there. There's some that are forming. I think it's natural, but that's just the way it's happening, okay? Not all of them that are there. See, now here's one right here. You can see it like a little bulb. It's drying up. It's gonna die. Yeah, it's gonna die. But the one underneath it, I gotta zoom out so it will fit the camera screen. That one right there, which I've been showing y'all since way back, it's changing colors. It's turning a golden color. And without actually knowing what's the indication that it's ripe, I'll have to take the word of the breeders of this to show that, or to say that that's the way it's supposed to turn. So I've seen some pictures, which kind of frustrates me, and what's motivating me to do these videos. Because if you're growing that kind of squash, man, you really need some advice. You need to see prototype example of what they're supposed to come out looking like. So you won't have no anxiety like me and worry about if they're growing like they're supposed to grow or not. So right down here, let's see if I can get this in the camera view. Kind of a dark area there. And I don't know if it's showing up on that screen or not. It's dark in there. I'm trying to see. Let me come around and see if I can get it from a different angle with more here. Let's see. I don't know if this squash can be seen on camera or not. It looks dark to me. I can't see it. But there's one right there. It is right there. There it is right there. That is a huge squash. And that's a good 7 or 8 pounds. And I'm basing my measurements on fishing because I'm a fisherman. And I usually can judge a fish when I catch them. You know, there's limits on fish. Some you can keep, some you have to throw back. But anyway, here's another one. You can see that's very sizable. It's not small. It's not like a little yellow squash or zucchini or something like that. It's huge. I'm not gonna go back there because I don't feel like climbing over them vines. But I can tell you that from this point all the way back, there's squash in there in the trees, hiding underneath stuff, all kind of stuff. They're in there. So This, I'm pretty sure, is probably going to be my last video before harvest time. I think maybe I'm belaboring the point to just keep filming this. You guys already get the idea. It's an abundant squash. It produces a lot. Forgive me for my heavy breathing because I'm out here and the heat is getting hot here. Probably over 100 degrees right now. But nevertheless, plus I done had too much coffee this morning. So I'm wounded up. Panic attack and all that there, stress disorder, all that's kind of kicking in. I suffer from that. But I'm still excited. We have did one fine job here. I'm going to attempt to edit this, maybe put a few little captions with it. Maybe try to make some of these videos that I'm producing have a little more detail, be a little bit more pretty, you know, easier to navigate, although it's pretty simple. It's just a picture, video. Videos are worth 1,000 words. Pictures worth 1,000 words, right? Same thing as, look at that. Look at my hand and compare it to that whole thing now. That's a big one. Never thought that was a surprise. The vine just grew up on the tree. I sincerely thought that the weight would pull it through this foliage of this grapevine, which is very tangled and massive. But the squash is actually just laying there on top of it. It has not been enough. The squash is so, the grapevine is so closely knitted until it's just holding it and supporting it up. So this is what you can expect when fruition time comes. I do know when my mother planted her squash, it was a project we did together. She did not plant but one squash. It had plenty of space, plenty of room, unlike my stuff, which is probably a bit crowded. The plants are not close together root-wise. They are spread out pretty good. I chose to plant them like the seed instructions said, probably about 3 feet apart. That was what I did, okay? But the vines on top of one another just look like one big mass. It's actually 10 different plants. So maybe it's cutting my fruit production down because of the amount of space that it takes for this to do that. I seen one actually, I think Mama's one plant. Same kind of squashes on there, big. They didn't get a hard skin on them because they got the cure. And well, I said I wasn't gonna do it. And I might not. Because that should be covered in harvest time. Well, everybody will get a chance to see how you know about the skin. That I'm familiar with. There's a way to tell when they're ready to harvest. Of course, you could just let all the foliage die away. If you live in a warm climate, it's going to be ready when you come pick it up. Things that grow wild in nature do the same thing. They sit out in the sun and they cure naturally. These, because we have a growing season that's kind of short, and I planted this stuff late, I know now it needs to go down as soon as the danger of a freeze is gone. Meaning you need to plant it in the early spring. I think here in this part of Texas, I'm in zone 8 and 9. You know, either one of those apply. Even though they're separate different zones, either one of those zones will apply to my growing area. So I can do both. But I didn't put them down until July. They really needed to go down 2 months earlier. And the pumpkins, you might start to see them in the store. This stuff would have been ready at that same time. It takes 140 days, almost exactly the same for a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, the orange-colored pumpkin. So anyway, I'm gonna close the video, and maybe next time I'll come in and show you guys how to tell when they're actually ripe. I may include that in during harvest time because we're gonna have a nice harvest here. We're gonna pick some heavy fruit up out of here. My family's gonna help me. That's our plan anyway, good Lord be willing. Everything go according to plan, no surprises or emergencies take place. And that's what's gonna happen. And I need to get my harvest because we're moving out of this place to somewhere else. Don't know where I'm going. Don't know what the setup's going to be at the new place. I hope I have enough space and room to plant this again. And maybe try to see if it can produce at its maximum potential. I don't know if it's going to be that way or not, but that's my game plan. So without saying anything else, I will see you guys next time. Please subscribe. Please like my channel. If you're getting anything out of these videos, feel free to let me know. That would make my heart glad. I had one subscriber that, told me this was beneficial, and it was teaching them patience. And man, that's even more enjoyable for me to hear, that this little small material, a natural effort I'm doing, may equate in some spiritual progress for somebody. Because it does me. But anyway, I'm going to say goodbye. You guys have a great day. This is Avian Christian with growing butternut squash, Argonaut, fruition, number 3. Bye.